Good, pause YouTube, 6 Foot Hacks here, and this is not an April Fool's joke, guys. This is indeed a upload and a round one playoff match, this time for the APA. Just a lot of shit's been going on, and I really just don't worry about it. Hopefully we can get back on things soon, but yeah, the last two APA matches were not uploaded due to me having to forfeit one, and the second one was just kind of a throwaway game. I literally brought the same meme team that I played against Nate with, and yeah, it didn't matter. We basically clinched number one in our spot in our division. There was 4 divisions, top 2 of each division got into playoffs, and we basically clinched our playoff spot. I think kind of late into the season, like around week 7 or 8, I want to say, we were basically guaranteed playoffs already. So the last 2 games didn't matter. That's why they didn't upload them. And yeah, this will be uploaded, should be uploaded on April Fool's Day. So yeah, MPA week number 8 will be uploaded next week, which was originally going to be the bye week for NPA. So me and my opponent had to push that back, so that'll be uploaded next week, and we'll just count this technically as our bye week for the MPA. But then after next week, we should be back on regular schedule for MPA. We still have PGBL playoffs, doing that match Saturday night, hopefully, maybe Sunday, depending on how things go, and hopefully it'll be up by Monday or Sunday if we do it Saturday, or yeah, or maybe Saturday, depending on how things go. But yeah, anyways, playoff matches are coming, league matches are coming as well. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about the new awesome intro and the outro at the end of the video. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you're excited for the Durham Druddigons to be in the playoffs of the APA. Man, this is going to be a very intense playoff games. We have some coaches like Jacob, Dan, Adri, we have Kyle, we got Point Blank, who we have facing coach of the Winnipeg Blue Blastoise, who's been doing pretty good after the later half of the season, after he played us, since he came in like halfway through and took over a team without any victories. I think he ended up winning like 3 or 4 games, I think, like his final few games he won. So that's pretty cool. He is on a bit of a winning streak, I believe. Definitely check him out, guys, and his side of our battle. Now, this match is going to be done on Showdown, because the only time that we were able to schedule our match was at a time that I made a huge mistake, and I didn't realize that I left my USB port in my girlfriend's car and couldn't have any way of genning. So we just did the match on Showdown. Hope y'all do not mind, but let's go ahead and jump into the team preview here. As you can see, we already have Primarina. But first off, this team matchup is a lot different than our original first game against Point Blank, because in our original match against Point Blank, he did not have Slowbro and he did not have Mega Aggron, which means that Mashup and Tauros were able to just kind of plow and then I said power, so plower their way through Point's team and basically just come in and get a KO for free. Unfortunately though, now he's got Slowbro and he's got Mega Aggron, so that is not going to be the same plan that we had initially going into our first matchup. So it did kind of affect our building just a little bit, but we are still bringing some pretty awesome tech here. Biggest threats on Point's team, or Points draft I should say, are easily the Weavile and the Crobat. Those two are the biggest nuisances and biggest scary threats, just because of how hard they can hit. Weavile is one of his Zmons, as well as Garchomp is his other Zmon. I'm not sure if he will bring Garchomp. He didn't bring it to our original game, so there is a good chance he may bring it this time around. Slowbro and Snorlax form a very annoying core, but it's not a core that we cannot break. Then Mega Aggron, it's not actually that big of an issue because we have a lot of answers for Mega Aggron, so if he does bring Mega Aggron, I'm not going to be entirely too concerned about it. Then Electrode, I am like 90% sure he's going to bring Electrode. The reason why I say that is because in our original match, he brought Specs Electrode, and I even said in the team builder, I don't expect Electrode to come, let alone a spec set, because we have 2 ground types. So this time I need to prepare for Electrode, because if he brings Electrode again, that could be a little bit of a nuisance. I have to be very careful with that. And then Shaman also has kind of a good matchup. I think it has got the same chances as Garchomp coming to this matchup potentially. Blaziken and Comfy, I do think, have somewhat of a use in this match. I don't expect Blaziken, if I'm being honest, because in our first match it did nothing. It literally did nothing. So I don't expect it to come this time around. Comfy though could be a little bit annoying, because Comfy is potentially his best answer to something like Mixed Hydreigon, and then KINGLER is a KINGLER. I don't know why he would bring Kingler, so I honestly don't expect it. Yeah, I mean, it's a Kingler. So, yeah, anyways, you've been staring here at our first mon for a minute now, and this is going to be Primarina, just a mixed offensive tank variant. Actually, I want to give a quick shout out to the homies that helped me build Tom, It's Turbo, and I want to say Keegan or Azar helped me too. I don't quite remember the last person, and I apologize, but they gave me a little bit of input on my team, and I just kind of built around some of the ideas they had given me. So this was one of the guys' idea was Encore, 3 attacks, Primarina. Specs and Pixie Plate were another option given to me, but honestly, Pixie Plate and Specs don't realistically help me out too much in this game. Plus, I don't want to lock myself into something like Energy Ball or Ice Beam, potentially give Slowbro, Crobat a free switch in, even Snorlax a free setup. So Encore was chosen over Ice Beam because Scald still can just about easily 2-hit KO Crobat, especially if we're able to get a Rock, so definitely 2-hit KO. If we get a Burn in his Rocky Helmet, I think we can 2-hit KO on a roll or just constantly pressure him as he goes for the Roost. Kabaya Berry though is going to be absolutely amazing because this can work as a lure for Weavile, which I fully expect to have Poison Jab or the Poisonium Z, as well as Garchomp have Poison Jab or Poisonium Z. And if he's got X-Scissor on the Crobat, then we can bait that out and then knock him out with the Scald. Excuse me. Modest Nature really wasn't needed. The damage output from Timid to Modest realistically does not matter at all. At least by having this amount of bulk, we are able to easily tank hits if it comes down to it and potentially get off that second hit or that KO that could very well help us in the long run of the game. Encore is really only there for Curslax and Calm Mind Slowbro, potentially even a Calm Mind Comfy if he does want to bring Comfy as a setup variant. So Primarina can function as a mon that can pressure, break, and stop setup essentially. So that's kind of the idea behind the set. Next off, we have our main breaker of the team here, and that is going to be Bugs Bunny, aka Diggersby. Now originally this was going to be Scarf, but ultimately I changed this and added a Scarf to another mon, which we'll get into in a second here. And the main reason why I decided to go with Adamant Life Orb as opposed to Scarf is because while Scarf, yes, would have been really nice to potentially catch the Crobat, the Shaman, the Weavile off guard. Yeah, Garchomp, because we don't have Speed Electrode anyways. Garchomp, Weavile, Crobat, and Shaman off. We could have caught those off guard and potentially picked up a KO. Just the fact that he still has the option for Slowbro and potentially the Mega Aggron to switch into my Diggersby. If I were to mispredict, that could put me in a very, very bad scenario. Plus, if I was able to put enough momentum on the team here, I could U-turn or Volt Switch out against whatever walls he would initially switch into those mons, bring in Diggersby, and just break my way through Slowbro, Snorlax, Mega Aggron, even Comfy, or potentially a slow Fizz Def bulky Shaman. For example, a return into a knockoff always 2-hit KOs Slowbro, and if I see that he's got Rocky Helmet or that he potentially has a Cobra Berry, then I can just I can return on the Cobra Berry and I can still knock off with the Rocky Helmet if he has it. But if he does bring leftovers, which I fully expect him to bring a physically defensive Slowbro, because again in our original game, Mienshao and Tauros absolutely destroyed him. So he needs a Fizz Def Slowbro, in my opinion, to deal with both of those mons, or he could have Mega Aggron as a dedicated answer to Tauros, and then Slowbro just to answer the Mienshao, and he can still run Calm Mind on Mienshao to be able to, Calm Mind on Slowbro to be able to function as a setup super late game. So I fully expect a Fizz Def variant, whether it be Rocky Helmet, Cobra Berry, maybe Zimu, so I can't knock it off. But definitely a Fizz Def Slowbro, so that's going to be really good information if we're able to figure that out. But Quick Attack does so much damage to things like Crobat, Garchomp, Electrode, Shaman, Blaziken as well. Like, it's ridiculous, man. Quick Attack just hits like an absolute nuke, which is pretty awesome, honestly, man. Like, Diggersby can definitely come in late game and just sweep by itself with Quick Attack, which is going to be really amazing once we get rid of his bulky, fat mons. And then between Earthquake and Return, we hit everything, just neutral, super effective stab damage. It's really, really good. So yeah, Diggersby and Primarina kind of function as our breaking core here. Now on to our first momentum Pokemon, and that is going to be Mama, aka Rotom Heat. We are running the exact same EV spread as before, just to be able to guarantee taking physical hits from the Weavile and special hits from the Shaman. Just a little bit better. We didn't really need any speed on this set in my opinion. Like 106 speed I think is more than good enough for this set to be reaching. And the only difference is that we are now running Will-O-Wisp as opposed to Toxic on this set. Will-O-Wisp is going to be amazing to be able to burn the Garchomp if it comes, the Crobat, the Weavile, and the Mega Aggron, especially the Mega Aggron, because if Mega Aggron does prove to be a bulky nuisance, then I can burn it and it won't be as big of an issue. Now Thunder Wave also could have fit over Will-O-Wisp, but I felt like Will-O-Wisp had way more benefits than what Thunder Wave had, and then we just have Volt Switch and Overheat for momentum, Pain Split for some form of recovery. Next off, we have our second momentum Mon, and the Mon that I made Scarf over Diggersby, because originally this was going to be a mixed superpower with Titanium Z, but there is a slight chance that he won't be bringing Snorlax, because in our first match it didn't really do anything. So there is a chance that he may not bring it, and he could bring Comfey. So I figured that if he does bring Comfey, then that'll be his dedicated switch into this Mon, so I can then U-turn into Diggersby. And even physically defensive Comfey, if I remember correctly, is straight O-code by return, which is insane. So that's going to be really good to get rid of one of his bulky Mons very early in the match potentially. But Choice Scarf Hydreigon does still have a really good matchup in this game. Once Comfey is gone, once Snorlax and Mega Aggron are weakened, then I can just come in, click my stabs, and things drop. Fire Blast is legitimately only for the Mega Aggron. Even Spadef Mega Aggron is 2-hit KO'd on damage rolls, and I think just about 100% 2-hit KO'd with Stealth Rocks up, so it's going to be very good if we're able to get ourselves into that scenario. Modest over Timid because we don't need the extra speed. The speed is enough to outspeed Electrode, which he could very well bring because Electrode outspeeds our Mega Beedrill, so I expect him to bring a max speed or near max speed Electrode, so we can outspeed that, which is nice. And we can also catch things off guard, potentially like a non-Scarf Shaman, non-Scarf Garchomp, and Weavile and Crobat and whatnot. Next off, we have a Cofabulous Decofagrigus, which we acquired week 12, if I'm not mistaken. The final day for trades was the last week of week 11, so we dropped Swallow and we picked up Cofagrigus here, which is actually pretty cool because now we have a nice bulky Pivot Mon and a nice bulky fat Ghost type. And I didn't really expect Swallow to do too much in our playoff matches anyways. Like Cofagrigus adds that potential extra sweeper, an extra T-Spike user, a more reliable T-Spike user actually, just again a very fat bulky Mon. So that's actually the kind of role that Cofagrigus is going to be doing in this game. It's just here to pivot in and out between his Mons and just to kind of scout things out. So I don't really expect Cofagrigus here to do entirely too much, but if I'm able to surprise something like the Weavile with the hidden power fighting, that would be absolutely amazing. Haze is really good for Curse-Lax, for Calm Mind, Slowbro, and potentially even Curse Mega Aggron, so that's going to definitely come in handy, as well as Comfey potentially. But T-Spikes are the main bread and butter of this set. His only way of getting rid of T-Spikes are Defog Crobat or Defog Comfey, which if he doesn't bring Defog, right? Yeah, if he doesn't bring Defog on either of those, then that's going to be absolutely amazing, because that means my T-Spikes are going to be here to stay for the remainder of the match to affect at least 4 or 5 of his 6 Pokemon, depending on what exactly he brings. If he does have Defog on the Crobat, then that means he is probably just running more of a standard bulky Crobat set, and that's still going to be good information for myself. Shadow Ball and Hidden Power Fighting are just there just to kind of hit everything. I suppose Hex could work over Toxic Spikes, but if I'm not able to guarantee getting up a layer of T-Spikes and poisoning those Mons, then I'm not going to gain that double power boost from Hex, so I don't want to worry about that initial step, and I just want to do as much damage immediately with my Cofagrigus. So next off and finally off, we have Jose aka Jirachi, I think running the exact same set and EVs except for a little bit less attack and a little bit more HP. And the main idea behind the set is to revenge kill, scout things out, and hopefully get up rocks if he does not have Crobat or Comfey, or if they just don't have Defog in general. So that's all that Jirachi's really here to do. Again, enough speed to outspeed the Electrode, and we are rocking double Scarfers again, because I really think they do good in this match. Like, we have enough breaking power with Diggersby and Primarina, then we have some nice speed control with our 2 Scarfers, and then Cofagrigus and Rotom, Heat, and make a nice little defensive pivot core between the two of them. So yeah, that is going to be our squad for round 1 of playoffs against the Winnipeg Blue Blastoise. Let's jump into this. Alright, so I'm trying this a little bit differently. Hopefully you guys like this. I don't know. Y'all can maybe let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, if anything, I'm going to try my best to do the rest of my playoff matches on Wi-Fi anyway, so you guys won't even have to worry about this happening again. But let's take a look at what our opponent point blank brought here. So first off, KINGLER. I was not expecting KINGLER, and you guys are going to see that that was a very big mistake for me to have overlooked KINGLER. Weavile and Crobat make a lot of sense. Again, they are the two biggest threats to me. Slowbro and Snorlax coming makes a lot of sense as well. I did kind of expect the Mega Aggron potentially over the KINGLER. Like, I would have rather liked to see Mega Aggron over KINGLER, but it's not that big of an issue. And then Garchomp was kind of a toss-up in the air between Garchomp, Electrode, and Shaman. But really happy to not see Electrode, because with Diggersby being our ground type of choice, it might have been 2-hit KO'd by a potential Choice Specs Hidden Power Ice from Electrode, so really happy he didn't opt to bring that, and instead he brought Garchomp. So he more than likely is going to have rocks on Garchomp. That would make a lot of sense. Regardless though, going into this matchup, my lead was going to be Rotom Heat. Rotom Heat pairs up very well against anything he wants to lead with, except for KINGLER, and then there's always a chance that I'll be running a very speedy Rotom Heat set, so I don't think he would want to lead with the KINGLER, and there is a chance that maybe he won't have a rock type or water type move on the Garchomp in the first place. But the biggest threats going into this game, again, Weavile and Crobat, those are going to be giant nuisances. If I'm not able to get rid of them early on, or potentially pressure by getting out my Stealth Rocks, they could prove to carry his team, and I don't want that to happen. Sub SD Garchomp, which I highly doubt he would bring, could be very, very terrifying. Then Kerslax and Calm Mind Slowbro late game could be very scary as well. And then KINGLER is a KINGLER. This is just what I'm thinking going into this matchup, so let's get this started. I'm going to be leading off with my Rotom, as he ends up leading off with the Snorlax here, as he goes straight for the crunch, probably just expecting me to Volt Switch directly into my Cofagrigus, which would make a lot of sense since Cofagrigus can definitely 1v1 Snorlax. But we do end up getting the burn here, as we end up getting a crit here with the Volt Switch. I'm not entirely too sure how much that actually ends up mattering in the long run of the battle, as you guys will come to find out. As he reveals to have the Facade here, I will be able to take this chance to get up a layer of T-Spikes, as he immediately switches into Crobat and goes directly for the Defog. Now this tells me some good information about this Crobat. Now I know that this thing is going to be more than likely defensive. I don't think you typically would run Defog in an offensive Crobat, at least none that I've seen in Draft League format. And the fact that he immediately went for the Defog lets me know that anytime I do get up this T-Spike, he more than likely is going to be prioritizing getting rid of the T-Spike above anything else, and that is going to be very good information for me later in this match. So I'm going to stay in here and I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball just to gauge to see if he is a defensive set, which he does turn out to be, as I do get a Spadef drop. Now, this is going to sound weird, but I honestly think this Spadef drop helped him out, because first off, there's no reason for him to leave in Crobat against a Cofagrigus. Like, there's nothing Crobat does to Cofagrigus. And if I didn't get that Spadef drop, I definitely would have gone for a layer of Toxic Spikes. Even if he did have the taunt and he was going to try and go for it, that is something I would have gladly risked, because that would tell me he has taunt, defog, and roost for sure, which means he only either has Brave Bird, Poison Jab, or U-turn, Poison Jab, or Brave Bird would be his only form of an offensive move. So that would be some really good information for me later in this match to be able to deal with this Crobat. But because I did get the Spadef drop, I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's going to stay in here, still try to potentially go for the taunt, or maybe he'll go for a roost to see what I want to do. So by going for the Shadow Ball, I can get off a decent chunk of damage, guarantee this thing in range of where 2 Scalds from my Primarina will guarantee knock it out. But he does make the smarter play, in my opinion, and he does go for the U-turn. So this was a misplay on my part. I should have just gone for the T-Spike again. And then, this really baffled me. He doesn't have Gluttony on his Snorlax. Now, he didn't say anything about this being a mistake. He didn't say anything about this being an error, as you can see in the chat, or you'll see in a second. He doesn't say anything about it. So, this has me thinking, this was probably going to be Immunity Snorlax, because in our original game, I specifically brought Toxic over Will-O-Wisp on a Rotom to be able to deal with Snorlax if it was Gluttony. because immunity is something that Snorlax very ever rarely runs. So I'm thinking this was immunity, but I burned him already, so I can still get that little bit of residual damage. And he either does not have a berry, or he could be something like Assault Vested, which I don't think he was, judging from the damage that my Volt Switch did to him. So this could very well be maybe like Chople Berry, because I think Snorlax gets counter. I'm not too sure. Or it just could be Chople Berry to deal potentially with the Manshot. But at this point, I'm convinced he is not Gluttony, and he more than likely does not have any type of recovery, unless he's a potential Sleep Talk set, which could be a little bit of a nuisance. But he ends up going for the Crunch here, pops my Colbur Berry, and I honestly did not realize he popped my Colbur Berry there. That kind of comes into play later in the match, but doesn't really change anything. As this turn, I switch into my Jirachi, thinking that maybe he would go for the return, thinking that I would bring in my Rotom Heat. Regardless though, I can definitely go for the U-turn here, and he ends up switching directly into a Slowbro here, and this is really good, because now after checking the calcs, I know that this is physically defensive. He's allowed me to get the Toxic Spike off on his Slowbro, which is huge, because now this means Slowbro is no longer as big of a nuisance as it could have potentially been. Above that, I now see that it has leftovers, which means he more than likely does not have a lot of Spadef investment whatsoever. So I can U-turn into my Primarina, and if you look at his team, Snorlax is at 35%. He has nothing that switches into any one of my dual stabs from my Primarina. Now, while Moonblast would be the safe play here, it's way too obvious. He's not going to leave in Slowbro. He should know that I know he doesn't have any Spadef investment, so he may try to predict me to go for the Moonblast or go for the Energy Ball. And that is actually why this turn I'm going to decide to go for the Scald, in hopes to catch either the incoming Crobat here or potentially the Snorlax. And then, much like earlier, he prioritized getting rid of these Toxic Spikes as opposed to recovering with his Crobat, or potentially try to get off some damage on my Primarina, which means I can safely go for another Scald here. I honestly thought that he was going to go for the Roost, but by him going for the Defog, I just get a free KO on the Crobat, and then I get off a huge amount of damage on the Slowbro as it comes in, revealing to him that I'm not choiced in any sort or way, and I will be able to Moonblast the following turn very safely, except for the fact that he does have the Figgy Berry on Snorlax. I did not expect that whatsoever, man. As soon as I clicked Moonblast, I was like, alright, he's sacking Snorlax. I'm gonna be up 6-4, 12 turns into this game. No, this man has the Figgy Berry on Snorlax, potentially with immunity, and he's able to get it off, and that really caught me off guard. Then this next turn, he makes a really good play. Like, this was a really good play on his part, honestly. I'm not even exaggerating this, because for one, he knows I'm not going to leave him Primarina on Snorlax. There's no way Primarina can beat Snorlax at 55%, 54% HP whatsoever. So he should know, and he knows that I'm not going to stay him. So I decided to switch out into my Jirachi, thinking, okay, the worst case scenario, Snorlax goes for Crunch or Earthquake. That's fine. He's burned. It's not going to be doing anything to me. But he pulls a really great double switch here into the Kingler. And as soon as he brought in Kingler on my Jirachi, I'm sitting here thinking, I don't have a switch into this Kingler. If this thing is Adamant Life Orb with Liquidation, it legitimately 2 KOs anything that I have on my team. Jirachi can't do anything to this Kingler. There's no way and in no universe where I stay in with Jirachi against this Kingler, because I need Jirachi. Jirachi is my Scarfer. If that Garchomp is not Scarfed, I outspeed his entire team. I can easily win late game with my Jirachi once I weaken the Slowbro and get rid of this Kingler potentially, because I can just lock myself into Iron Head potentially, or the Ice Punch, which I can't do any damage to Kingler or the Slowbro. So I'm basically forced to U-turn here and switch in something to get absolutely mollywopped by a Liquidation, and that does 51% to my Hydreigon. The good thing is though is that I can click Draco Meteor here, but still I cannot safely switch into this Kingler. I completely overlooked Kingler, and that could definitely come to bite me in this match. Now, this switch into Slowbro was really questionable. Let's go back a turn. Hold on. So him switching the Snorlax here, that made sense. So I hit him with the Draco, and what I would have done if I was him, and this is why I think this was just a really bad play on his part, is that he doesn't need Snorlax. Like, there's nothing Snorlax does in this match. And even though I am at -2, Slowbro doesn't really have the best Spadef around, and it's still going to be taking a lot of damage from a -2 Draco Meteor. Again, if I was him, I would have definitely sacked off Snorlax here, because as you guys saw, I still do a lot of damage to this Slowbro. That's 40% to a Slowbro, where he could have just sacked off his Snorlax. So this turn, I pull a double switch into my Primarina. The main reason I did this was because I thought that he was going to try to bring in the Kingler potentially, knowing that I was at -4, then once I get to -6, I can't do any damage to the Kingler, and then at that point I was basically forced to sack something on my team. So by pulling a double switch here, I covered him potentially going for the recover with the Slowbro, trying to sack off the Snorlax or switch into the Kingler. What I did not expect though was that he would double switch into the Weavile, or that he would switch into the Weavile, sorry. And this is actually really good for me, because now I just click Moonblast and I claim a kill. Kingler Kingler is knocked out after the U-turn damage. Weavile is straight O-code if it's not Sash. Garchomp is O-code if it's not Sash. Snorlax is O-code at the amount of HP that it's at, or knocked out at the amount of HP that it's at. And then Slowbro is sitting at 17%, factoring in Regenerator. I think that's like 50-ish% if I'm not mistaken, and that's easily to a KO'd, or actually no, it's knocked out thanks to the fact that I was able to Toxic it with the T-Spike. So I basically lose nothing in going for a Moonblast here. I have the Kabaya Berry, I live a Z Poison Jab unless he crits me, and this is a risk I'm willing to take, because getting rid of this Weavile is going to open up the windows to my Hydreigon, Diggersby, and my Kofagrigus in the back, but he does make the safe play there. Sacks off the Snorlax, and in comes the monster known as Mr. Krabs, the Kingler. So unfortunately, unless I want this thing to get another KO against my team and potentially become a giant nightmare for me to deal with, I need to leave in my Primarina here. I need to tank whatever move this thing goes for, and I need to knock it out with my Moonblast or my Energy Ball. I completely overlooked Kingler. I didn't think it would be a threat whatsoever, but as soon as this thing did 51% to my Hydreigon, it dawned on me that this could be a giant nightmare to face. So I unfortunately do have to leave in my Primarina here, because whatever I switched in was going to get straight O-code or 2 KO'd more than likely, and I'm able to get rid of the Kingler finally, which is amazing. However though, one of my lures for this Weavile is now gone. As he finds out I'm Kabaya Berry, I find out that he is Life Orbed, and this is really good, because with him being Life Orbed at the amount of HP that my Kofagrigus is at, I can actually still live a knockoff, and a round of Life Orb into Hidden Power Fighting should knock out Weavile, so that's going to be really good for me. But this does allow me to bring in my Scarf Jirachi. I can safely go for the U-turn as he decides to bring in the Garchomp. Getting off this U-turn damage on Garchomp is actually really good, because now I can bring in my Kofagrigus here, potentially get up a T-Spike, or go for the Shadow Ball as I do Shadow Ball the incoming Weavile. And I'm hoping and praying that he stays in this turn to go for the knockoff, because if he does, I live and I get rid of this Weavile, and I put myself in a really amazing spot. But he makes a good switch here, tries to bait me to Hidden Power Fighting, and I take the bait as he brings in the Slowbro, but I lose nothing in just going for the Shadow Ball. But I decide to go for the T-Spike, because if he really wants to play this switching in and switching out game, I'm going to be able to Toxic the Garchomp and Toxic the Weavile regardless. Plus, I want to get off a little bit of damage on this Garchomp to guarantee it in range of where my Jirachi can knock it out with an Ice Punch if it really comes down to it. So I'm fine with taking this damage from the Earthquake as I just go for the Shadow Ball once again as he brings in the Slowbro. I lose nothing in Shadow Balling again. I really don't care if he wants to bring in the Weavile, expecting me to Shadow Ball because it's going to be taking the Shadow Ball damage. The 12% from the first turn is switched in from T-Spikes, and then on the second turn, the Life Orb and that second round of toxic damage. So he knocks me out as I bring in my Diggersby. I can just quick attack at this point, and it's basically a good game. I knock this out. Garchomp comes in. At this point, I don't know if Garchomp is Scarfed or Z-move, but regardless of what it is, it's not going to end up mattering with the combination of Mons that I have left. So I will quick attack once more with the Mummy, doing a nice 17%, and he's going to finish me off, and I'm going to bring in my Rotom Heat here, and that is basically going to be the battle and the 3-0 victory in the Durham Druddigons' favor for the first round of the APA playoffs. So very good game to Mr. Point Blank there, guys. Definitely check him out. Hopefully y'all did enjoy it. Again, I apologize that this was done on Showdown. The rest of the playoff matches will be done on Wi-Fi, hopefully. So yeah, be on the lookout for that next week, where we take on I think it's either Kurt the Buzzwole or Phantom Base. So we'll see who we play, and then hopefully we can go to the finals and just, yeah, hopefully y'all did enjoy. With that being said, I will see y'all next week. Happy April Fool's Day. Don't go getting in too much trouble, and I'll see y'all later.
No matter where you're at, I'm not here to make friends, it's time to attack and deplete your HP with a final smash. Don't make me turn around and pull a 6-foot hacks. 6 foot hacks, yeah. 6 foot hacks, yeah. 6 foot hacks.